Freed from the old constraints of copper wires, our voices and our data are now circling the globe via satellite, microwaves, and fiber optic links. In an operation likened to driftnet surveillance, Echelon captures those signals and downloads them to supercomputers. Keywords or voice recognition are then used to pick out the information the agencies are interested in. Canada's CSE is a poor cousin to America's National Security Agency, the NSA. It is the biggest brother in the world spy family. It is the largest, most secretive, and potentially the most intrusive intelligence agency in the world. It dwarfs both the CIA and the FBI in budget, manpower, and influence.
NSA and the Pentagon have been allowed to get increasingly involved in domestic law enforcement activities and domestic intelligence gathering activities.
The surveillance machine is humming away in secret, scanning the electronic traffic, waiting for a new list of keywords, a list that might one day pop up with our name, our email address, and our telephone number, and we'll never know how or why we have become a target of the state. Resistance to an ever-widening surveillance network of a technology-adept big brother is difficult, especially when surveillance is presented as something that will make our lives more secure, something that is good for us. All the while, our privacy slips further and further out of our control until we are ultimately left naked with no place to hide.
Shown here is a FEMA facility in Denton, Texas, where you can see mile after mile of FEMA command and control trailers. These trailers are self-sustaining and contain electrical generators and communications equipment that can be moved out anywhere in the country to start a FEMA operations center. Several military manuals, such as these manuals, ranging from 1985 through 1994, speak of FEMA as the implementing agency for Operation Garden Plot, the plan to put American citizens in prison camps under military control. This 1994 Field Manual for Military Police speaks of Operation Garden Plot as a DoD civil disturbance plan that tells the military what they can and cannot do, and that they will operate under FEMA control. This is a FEMA facility in Denton, Texas, with Region 6 plainly noted on its sign from the FEMA regional map. Notice that this agency that is supposedly to protect us is highly guarded with electronically controlled fencing, topped by barbed wire, guarded by speakers and cameras. The FEMA plans to imprison American citizens have generated a lot of interest around the country in locating the potential prison camps throughout the country. These may be facilities currently being used as prisons, such as those you saw earlier, or prisons that are being built supposedly in the name of the war on drugs, or facilities that have other uses but which could be quickly used to detain large numbers of people, such as this Amtrak facility in Beech Grove, Indiana. We're standing now in the main parking lot, which doesn't look too sinister. At this level, it is a very large parking lot, fenced on all sides by fence topped by barbed wire. It also has these electronically operated turnstiles. There is also a surveillance camera, just like we saw at the FEMA facility, pointing out to the parking lot, and a helicopter windsock. All of these apparent security measures are particularly unusual here, because this is a very low crime area, and this facility is nothing but an old train repair station with nothing in it worth stealing. In this portion of the parking lot is a brick building, suitable for processing, next to a gate that leads right out to the railroad tracks, and all of this is contained inside a fully fenced area, now 3 layers deep in fencing at this point. This small building is the only way into a particular fenced area. Inside this building, we see more of the motion-activated detectors, electronic turnstiles, and prison bars. Outside this building is fencing and a cattle run section of fence, all topped by barbed wire, pointing inward, not to keep people out, but to keep people in. Inside the fenced area on the other side of the building, you'll see signs that say Red Zone, right up next to the railroad tracks that run the length of the fenced area. Next to the Red Zone sign, you can see closely numbered markers on the fences that are too closely spaced to be parking markers, just as if they plan to have people line up to board the trains. Here's a helicopter marker on the power lines outside the facility, indicating expected helicopter traffic, and again, another tall radio antenna. Looking around, you can get an idea of how huge this place is and how many people it could contain in its fenced-in area. In yet another fenced area, we see a large warehouse building at the end, with the electronic turnstiles in front of it. The building is one that has a new concrete floor, and its doors and windows have all been blocked. Outside, there are new gas pipes. The gas lines and gas pipes at the facility run the length of the buildings and come out at some very, very large, brand new furnaces that have been installed at the buildings throughout the facility. Inside the facility, we found large fenced-in areas next to the railroad tracks marked Green Zone and Blue Zone, suitable for holding a lot of people. This tower, overlooking the entire facility at one end of the facility along the railroad tracks, also has a radio antenna on it with a ladder up inside of it. It would make an excellent watchtower. Senator Lugar of Indiana recently obtained more federal funding to renovate this facility, which is supposedly only for the repair of broken trains and where most of the buildings on the property haven't been used for years. It certainly appears they are expecting more than just broken trains.
America looks at a whole different implant for the human body. It's a microchip that can be used for identification and to get medical help. No bigger than a grain of rice, this chip is at the center of a growing battle over its benefits and drawbacks. CBS's Bobby Harley has both sides of the story and the first people to get the chip.
Yeah, we're ready. We've
a procedure that takes only seconds to carry out.
And the chip is now extruded, and we're finished.
Has turned the Jacobs family into medical pioneers. They are the first people to get chipped, implanted with a tiny device called a VeriChip that emits radio frequencies. A handheld scanner reads the VeriChip. Theoretically, police, paramedics, and hospital workers would use the information during an emergency. At a cost of $200 a chip, thousands of Americans are already lining up to get them. And Applied Digital Solutions, the company that developed the VeriChip, says this might only be the beginning. Company scientists are already working on a global positioning system, similar to what you'd use in your boat or your car, but to track people. And like the VeriChip, it would be small enough to implant in someone. But privacy advocates have concerns.
The problem here is that this is something that is going to be permanently implanted in people, and once that happens, I think there's going to be a real challenge to make sure that only that original intended use is made of the technology.
Something has to change, though. We need some system for permanently identifying safe people. Most of us are never going to blow anything up, and there's got to be something better than one of these photo IDs, a tattoo somewhere maybe. The Saudis used an American device to scan the eyes of travelers. I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me. If we don't do something, people are going to stop flying. If they stop flying, and I don't go to the Giants games, it means the have won.
Coming up tonight, do parents have to resort to high-tech measures to protect their children? Well, you'll meet a man who says that you may want to implant a microchip in your children. Think that's a good idea in light of all the kidnappings?
This technology has been in development since 1999, and it was originally aimed towards the Alzheimer's markets for wandering parents and things to that effect. With the recent increase in abductions and kidnapping, both here and in Latin America, where it runs rampant, we believe that our technologies can be an aid and security to the parents and to loved ones in this age where security is very important.